For the Duchess of Kent, a royal of his mother's generation.
Actually stepped back from working royal life nearly 30 years ago, trading in official duties for a real-world job as a music teacher.
What if I told you that a single piece of paper tucked away in a jewelry box has thrown Buckingham Palace into complete chaos? Sources close to Kensington whisper that a handwritten note was found among the late Duchess of Kent, Katharine's personal belongings. And not just any note. One said to contain truths powerful enough to shake the very foundation of the royal family. King Charles, upon discovering it, was reportedly left speechless, his expression described as one of disbelief and sorrow. For decades, the Duchess was regarded as a quiet, graceful figure, rarely making headlines. Yet, behind that calm presence, it seems she carried a secret that even the crown didn't expect. Now, the question haunting everyone inside the palace is simple but terrifying. What could be written in that note that would leave a king so shaken? This isn't just about family, it's about history, legacy, and the kind of revelation that could rewrite both. Stay with us as we uncover what King Charles truly found inside the Duchess's jewelry box and why it might change everything we thought we knew about the royal family. The hidden box that changed everything. The Duchess of Kent, Katharine, lived a life wrapped in quiet dignity. She wasn't the type of royal who sought the camera's flash or the front-page spotlight. Instead, she found peace in small moments in music, faith, and the company of those she trusted. To the world, she was known as kind, graceful, and endlessly patient. But those who truly knew her said there was always something deeper behind her calm eyes, something unspoken, something quietly guarded. Sometimes, the ones who speak the least end up holding the heaviest truths. After her peaceful passing at the age of 92, Kensington Palace fell solemn. The staff, who had served her for decades, began the delicate process of going through her belongings, old letters, family portraits, and countless pieces of jewelry collected over a lifetime. Each item carried a piece of her story. Some brought smiles, others brought tears. But one discovery stopped them in their tracks, a small wooden jewelry box tucked away at the far end of her vanity. At first glance, it didn't look like much. Its wood had faded over time, the polish worn smooth by years of care. But something about it drew attention. The carvings on the lid seemed older than anything else she owned, small, intricate patterns that looked almost symbolic, like they meant something personal to her. One of the attendants even remarked that it looked like it had been handmade, perhaps passed down through generations. It was strange that a woman of her status would keep such a modest box hidden among diamonds and gold. When they lifted the lid, they expected to find the usual pearls, perhaps an heirloom brooch, or a few old trinkets. But instead, they found something completely unexpected. Lying beneath a delicate strand of pearls was a single envelope. It was carefully folded, untouched by time, as if it had been waiting to be found. The handwriting on it was unmistakably hers, neat, deliberate, and full of grace. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't the handwriting itself. It was the name written across it in soft black ink: Charles. That single word changed the atmosphere in the room. The staff exchanged glances, unsure of what to do next. It was rare for personal letters like this to be found after a royal's passing, and rarer still for one to be addressed directly to the king. The room fell silent. No one dared to open it. They all understood the weight of what they had found. Following palace protocol, the box and its mysterious envelope were sealed, logged, and sent directly to Buckingham Palace. As it made its way to the king's private study, whispers began spreading among the staff. What could the Duchess have written that was meant only for Charles? Was it a farewell? A confession? A long-held truth finally revealed? When King Charles finally received the envelope, he reportedly took a long moment before touching it. Those close to him said he sat completely still, his fingers tracing the seal as if he recognized it. Perhaps he did. The Duchess of Kent had known him since childhood, watched him grow, guided him through moments of doubt, and stood by the royal family through times of both joy and crisis. Whatever was inside that envelope wasn't from a stranger, it was from someone who knew him deeply, maybe better than most. He broke the seal slowly, carefully, as if afraid the paper itself might crumble. The people near him said he stared at the letter for a long time before reading, his expression unreadable. But when he finally looked up, there was a strange silence in the room, the kind of silence that follows something life-changing. The hesitation, the pause, the emotion in his eyes, it said everything. Whatever words Katharine left behind weren't simple memories. They carried meaning, weight, and maybe even warning. It wasn't just a letter from the past, it was a voice reaching out from beyond, asking to be heard one last time. And in that moment, surrounded by centuries of royal history and duty, King Charles realized that some secrets aren't meant to fade, they wait for the right time and the right person to finally be found. Memories of the Duchess, the woman behind the silence. To truly understand why this note has shaken King Charles and the entire royal household, we have to travel back long before the jewelry box was opened, long before whispers of mystery began echoing through the palace halls. Katharine, Duchess of Kent, wasn't just another name in the long royal lineage. She was different, a woman of compassion, humility, and rare grace, in a world often ruled by power and pride. Those who knew her best described her as the kind of person who could calm an entire room just by entering it. Her voice was soft, her smile genuine, and her presence comforting. She never needed crowns or jewels to command respect. Her dignity spoke for itself. While many members of the royal family thrived under the flash of cameras and headlines, Katharine preferred the quiet corners of service. She spent her time supporting music, education, and faith. Her passion for teaching and mentoring young students was well known. In fact, she was the first royal in modern history to convert to Catholicism, a decision that spoke volumes about her courage to follow her beliefs, even when it meant standing alone. But beneath her calm exterior, those close to her sensed a quiet sorrow, the kind that doesn't fade with time. There was something deep in her eyes, a wistful distance that hinted at unspoken memories. Some say she carried the weight of witnessing too much, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, and the silent struggles that come with royal life. She had seen the monarchy through decades of turbulence, divorces that shook the family, scandals that filled the front pages, and losses that changed the course of the crown forever. And yet, through all of it, she never broke. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. She knew that in the royal world, every word could ripple through generations. Still, behind that silence, many believed she guarded secrets, personal ones that connected her not only to Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, but also to Charles himself. The Duchess had a unique relationship with the royal family. She was there during Charles's upbringing, watching him evolve from a shy young boy to a man destined for the throne. She had seen his struggles with love, duty, and the impossible expectations placed upon him. And though she rarely spoke about it, those who worked alongside her noticed her quiet protectiveness toward him, as if she knew something deeper about his journey that others didn't. Over the years, as the royal family faced one storm after another, Katharine began to step back from public life. Officially, the palace said it was due to her age and health. But insiders have long whispered that there was more to it. Some say she had grown weary of the political games behind palace doors. Others believe she carried knowledge too heavy to reveal truths that could alter how history remembers certain figures. Perhaps stepping away was her way of keeping her peace, protecting both herself and those she loved. So when her jewelry box revealed a note addressed solely to King Charles, people couldn't help but wonder, was this her final act of truth? Her last attempt to make peace with the memories she had carried all her life? For decades, Katharine was seen as the quiet heartbeat of the royal circle, the kind of woman whose absence would be felt even more deeply than her presence. And now, with this one mysterious letter, she seemed to have chosen the perfect time to speak not in public, not through interviews or headlines, but directly to the one man who might truly understand what she meant. It's as if the Duchess had been waiting all these years to say something only Charles could hear, a truth whispered not in life, but in the silence she left behind. What was in the note? Theories and whispers. No one beyond King Charles himself has ever laid eyes on the full contents of that mysterious note. But within the high walls of Buckingham Palace, whispers began to swirl almost instantly, faster than the press could even catch a hint of the story. Every servant, advisor, and royal insider seemed to have their own version of what might have been written. And with every retelling, the mystery grew darker, heavier, and more haunting. Some believe the letter held deeply personal confessions, secrets only the Duchess could have known. Perhaps it spoke of family feuds that were never meant to reach the public. Maybe it revealed quiet tensions between royal members, or truths buried beneath decades of polite smiles and photo ops. Others think it wasn't a confession at all, but a message one meant to guide, or even warn, the king about something looming over the monarchy's future. One particularly chilling rumor suggests the Duchess mentioned an event long forgotten by the world, something that happened many years ago, but had been deliberately erased from official records. There's talk of a quiet cover-up, a favor done to protect someone's name, or even a decision made in secrecy that changed royal history. Some palace watchers believe she might have revealed her part in shielding a family member from a scandal, possibly one that could have shattered the royal image if ever made public. And then, there's the theory that this wasn't about the past at all, but the future. Some insiders whisper that Katharine may have warned Charles about the direction of the monarchy itself, perhaps urging him to make choices that could preserve what remains of the family's legacy. Could she have seen a fracture forming one that might eventually tear the royal family apart? What we do know is this. When Charles read the letter, witnesses say he was visibly shaken. His expression fell still, his hands trembled, and for a long time, he said nothing. That silence spoke louder than words ever could. It wasn't the silence of shock alone. It was the silence of a man who had just seen a truth that couldn't be unseen. When he finally stood, Charles reportedly folded the note gently, placed it back in its envelope, and locked it once again inside the Duchess's jewelry box. He then ordered it sealed untouched, unread by anyone else. That single act left more questions than answers. Why would a king, a man known for his discipline and control, look so haunted? What could have possibly been written in that letter to make even the monarch tremble? Whatever it was, one thing is clear. The note wasn't just a farewell. It was her final message, perhaps her final warning to the crown itself. How the royal family reacted. News of the letter didn't stay locked away for long. In a place like Buckingham Palace, secrets are fragile things. They travel through whispers, glances, and half-finished sentences. And though no one outside the king's most trusted circle had seen the note, everyone seemed to sense that something had changed. It began subtly. King Charles, a man known for his discipline and routine, suddenly appeared distant. Meetings were postponed, calls left unanswered, and long walks through the palace gardens became his new habit. Queen Camilla noticed it first. She reportedly asked him if something was troubling him, but Charles only gave a soft, weary smile, the kind that says more than words ever could.
Charles and Camilla have put on a very united front since the Queen tragically passed away. The couple has made multiple public appearances.
Palace staff mentioned he spent hours in his study with the door closed, often staring out the window, lost in thought. Whatever was in that note, it clearly unsettled him in a way few things ever have. Camilla's concern soon spread through the family. Prince William, ever the loyal son, didn't press for answers, but stayed close, offering quiet support. Still, those around him could tell he was curious. He had grown up hearing stories of the Duchess of Kent, her wisdom, her compassion, her unshakable faith. The idea that she had left a private message for his father, one that carried such emotional weight, was impossible to ignore. Katharine, the Princess of Wales, was reportedly the most affected emotionally. She had always admired the Duchess for her humility and kindness, a woman who chose service over spotlight. Katharine often spoke about how the Duchess embodied what it truly meant to live with grace. So, when she learned about the letter, it struck her deeply. She was said to have described it as a message that must have come from love, not scandal. Yet even she couldn't deny the air of mystery surrounding it. Meanwhile, other royals quietly speculated. Some believed it was a letter of guidance, a farewell message from one generation to another, reminding Charles of the values that once held the monarchy together: compassion, humility, and unity. But others weren't so optimistic. A few insiders worried it contained painful revelations, perhaps truths about the family's internal struggles or confessions that could rewrite certain chapters of royal history. Still, one thing united everyone: concern for the king. Those who saw him after reading the letter described a man both reflective and wounded. His demeanor wasn't one of anger or confusion, it was heartbreak. He seemed burdened, as if the note had reopened an old wound he thought had long healed, and that's where the story deepens. Because in royal life, emotions are often buried beneath layers of duty, protocol, and performance. But this moment broke through all of that. Whatever Katharine wrote, it reached Charles not as a monarch, but as a man, a son figure, a friend, a keeper of the family's truth. For once, it wasn't politics or public pressure that shook the palace. It was something far more personal: the power of words from a woman long gone, echoing through the heart of a king who never expected to hear her voice again. The legacy she left behind. What makes this discovery so haunting isn't just the note itself, it's what it represents. It's a reminder of who Katharine, the Duchess of Kent, truly was beneath the calm, graceful image the world saw. She wasn't a woman chasing attention or headlines. She lived quietly, in the shadows of the crown, content with simplicity while chaos often surrounded her family. Through marriages, divorces, scandals, and heartbreaks, Katharine remained the same: steady, loyal, and deeply private. That kind of quiet strength is rare in the royal world, where every smile and silence is measured and every action is judged. For decades, she witnessed the royal family transform before her eyes. She saw the young Elizabeth become a queen, Charles grow from an uncertain prince to a ruler, and the world around them shift in ways no royal training could prepare for. Yet through every change, Katharine never turned her back on her duty or her faith. She endured, she adapted, but she never spoke out. Perhaps that silence was her strength, or perhaps it was her burden. Leaving behind that note wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a moment of impulse. It was deliberate, the final act of a woman who had lived her life by restraint and grace, but who knew that some truths couldn't die with her. In a way, it was her final conversation with history. Maybe she believed Charles, now king, was finally the one capable of understanding her message and the weight it carried. She must have trusted that he would know whether to reveal it to the world or bury it forever beneath royal walls. The detail that it was found in her jewelry box makes this act even more personal, almost poetic. Jewelry, after all, isn't just decoration, it holds emotion, memory, and identity. The jewels we wear are the stories we keep close. Perhaps that's exactly what she wanted, for her truth to be discovered not among official documents or cold palace records, but beside the treasures that held pieces of her heart. To the public, she will always be remembered as the quiet Duchess, dignified, kind, and mysterious. But to those inside the palace, Katharine has now become something greater, the silent keeper of a truth that might never fully come to light. Her legacy isn't written in speeches or ceremonies. It lives in that sealed box, in a letter that continues to whisper through palace corridors, a final echo of the woman who chose silence, yet spoke louder than anyone ever expected. The discovery of the note inside the Duchess of Kent Katharine's jewelry box has become one of the most talked about mysteries in modern royal history. A quiet woman, a hidden message, and a king left shaken. It sounds like the plot of a novel, but this is a story rooted in real emotion, legacy, and loss. No one outside of King Charles may ever know exactly what those words said. Maybe that's how it was meant to be, a private truth between two souls who shared a lifetime of loyalty and silence. But the impact of that moment will echo through Buckingham Palace for years to come. What did the Duchess really want the king to remember? What secret did she trust only him to keep? Perhaps the answers will never leave that jewelry box again. One thing's for sure in the world of royalty: every secret has a reason, and every reason has a price. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think was written in that note? Stay tuned. There's always more than meets the eye when it comes to the royal family.